I think we are live. Yes, we are. I'd like to welcome everyone. If you're watching now or if you're watching later, it doesn't matter. I have a very special guest with me here today. And the guest is Audrey Sourroubille Arnold, all the way from Switzerland. Audrey is very special and she's a very, very strong and exciting woman. And I met her, I think it was about 6-7 years ago, maybe when we were still working in the corporate sector together. Well, we were not working together, different companies, but and then we changed careers and we stayed in touch. And here we are today. And Audrey, you run your business is called Lotus Power Health, and you have a very important mission. At least I feel it's a very important mission. You help women to balance their hormones, to have a better health overall from a holistic point of view. So you include all sorts of different things. You're a health coach, health and nutrition, certified women's health and nutrition coach. I'm just looking at your website. You're a detox specialist as well. You have studied at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. You are also trained in hormone cures. So anything to do with hormones, health, women, and we'll talk about that today because I feel it's quite an important topic to cover. Anything else you would like to add? Any other areas of nutrition or health coaching that you added onto what you're already doing?
What
I've mentioned.
What I added is the understanding of the female cycle, which is again about hormones, but it's also about mindset and understanding how each of the different phases of your cycle is affecting you as a woman. Not only in your personal life, but in your professional life.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about just before we started the live viewing that you're different in a way that you're looking at, or you have a unique skill set that you're looking at people who are in the corporate industry, or they don't have to be, but you have the skill set and you have the direct experience to work with that type of people as well, because you went through the experience yourself. Is that right?
Yes, that's completely correct. I think the women that I really help best are women who are working in the corporate world, or they're entrepreneurs, and they want to have their success in their careers or in their professional life while being able as well to enhance their health and being happy and healthy as a woman and thriving really in all different aspects of their lives.
Mm-hmm. And how did that come about from your perspective? Were you always interested in health and being balanced and the well-being, or did it come about through your health challenges? I know you shared something with me already, but can you just explain to the audience?
Mm-hmm. I think it's probably like many, is you don't realize how important your health is until you lose it. So I discovered back in 2011 that I had endometriosis, and that was through my own research. And I was told I'd never be able to get pregnant. Well, I was able to. That I'd never be out of pain. I am out of pain. That I'd never be able to have a normal life without taking the pill or painkillers. And effectively now I'm able not to take the pills and not to take painkillers. And this is what started me on my journey, because I thought there is no way that I can be in pain every single day, having to take painkillers or the pill, because none of these were working for me. And that I would just accept to be in pain every day. And I thought I have to find a solution. If the doctors or the health professional that I saw at the time were not able to help me, I had to find for myself a solution to move out of this constant pain, which was physical and also emotional, and to find a solution for myself. And then afterwards, I just decided to share it on the blog. And as women were seeing my story and relating to the experience that I had, they were just coming to me and saying, "Hi, well, are you planning to be doing any type of coaching? Can we contact you to get your help?" And that's what started me on my journey, to be able to share my own experience with other women who wanted to be shortcutting the process of being where they were in their health to getting better.
And how many people actually, or how many women actually suffer from endometriosis? Is there any specific number? Is it quite a common condition?
It's quite a common condition. Like you have between 10 and 15% of the population of women who are suffering from it, but it takes between 10 and 12 years for it to be diagnosed, which means you have a lot of women who might be suffering from PMS and pain when they have their periods, but they don't know they have endometriosis, because it's a common misconception that when you have your periods, PMS is normal and pain is normal. It's not. And so, yeah, you have a lot of women who might be suffering from endometriosis but not know about it.
Mm-hmm. And what is the cause? Is there any research or anything what the causes of endometriosis and what it actually is? Could you give us a little bit of background?
So endometriosis is coming from hormonal imbalances in the body. It can be genetic as well. You have different causes. I have written a long article about it. I'm not going to be getting into too many details about that, because you can read about it online, but it can be genetic, so inherited from your mother. It can be something that grows as you are consuming too many food and beauty products, for example, which have endocrine disruptors in and increase your estrogen in your body.
And that's very interesting, because I feel like that's something you wouldn't normally think about. Although your skin is your largest organ, you wouldn't think about, how this cream that I'm using or this lotion that I'm using, how can that have an effect on my cycle and on my hormones and what it can cause. Yes.
And not just a cream, but if you think about it, you get up in the morning, you wash your face, maybe you go take a shower and you wash your hair as well. So your washing lotion for the body and your washing lotion for your hair might also have endocrine disruptors in it. And so really your whole body will be lathered into these endocrine disruptors that will then be creating more estrogen into your body. And
yeah, continue.
No, I just find it just fascinating when you start looking into everything you're doing on a daily basis and finding out how many of those daily habits you have can be contributing to your health being not as optimal as you want it to be.
And it's the little things, isn't it? It's the accumulation, it can be big things, but it's the accumulation of little things, little daily actions that add up. And because they're so small, we might not even think about, how this, I'm just going to live on, I'm just going to enjoy my life to the fullest. But there's a balance between living from a place of balance and being informed. And I just lost my train of thought. And being disregarding that those little things can affect our health as much as big decisions that we make.
And it's not just, for example, being in pain or not being in pain, but many women who come to me because they have endometriosis want to get pregnant. And they don't realize that many of the small things they're doing every day just add up and then prevent them from getting pregnant. And that by just changing a few things into what they're doing every day, reducing stress, changing the food they're eating, being more aware of their cycle and which are the food that are going to be supporting each phase of their cycle, being understanding how their biology is supposed to work and connecting with their womb and with their uterus and understanding that any pain or message that comes up needs to be expressed. These are the different things that make really a difference into a woman's life. We're like working in corporate. One of the things that I see most is women are used to want to be like men. They have that masculine energy they feel they need to be expressing because they're comparing themselves to men. And even women on certain levels in the hierarchy will be behaving like men. And they will be losing that touch with what being a woman is about. And by losing that touch, this is when all these menstrual problems, fertility problems will be coming up. And that by addressing that connection to their feminine side will be able to resolve most of the problems they're experiencing.
And would you say that even psychologically trying to match the men's psyche, we're talking about the corporate world, trying to be. I know that sometimes it's difficult to be the woman, and among if a majority of the people around you are men, you kind of try to match and work really hard and just go ahead and not think about what you need within that cycle. So what did you find in your experience? How was your journey with fertility? You said you were told that you couldn't have children, and your own pain management. What are the key things that you found, and how did it relate to understanding your own cycle, your hormonal cycle, and the fact that you are a woman and embracing that?
So for me, it started first because when you start on this journey, you're not maybe ready to be looking into your psyche and what's going on there and what are some of the emotions that you have to let go of. So it started for me by looking into my nutrition and what were the things that I should be eating and what were the things that I should not be eating. So any food that would be estrogen-like foods would need to be taken out of what I was eating. Any food creating inflammation in the body, like sugar, alcohol, which we often turn to when we're tired during the day, or perhaps in the evening, you're coming back home, you're stressed, you say, oh, a little drink won't hurt. Well, it actually does. So looking into nutrition, into what you're drinking, and then moving on.
So you're saying that even one drink or even one thing that you have, even you could say, oh no, it's not really going to affect me. If you are trying to get better and really get your body into balance, even that would affect your hormonal health. Is that true?
That's true. I mean, think about it like we were talking about beauty products before. You're not putting that much on your face, and yet over a certain period of time, it accumulates into your body and making a huge difference into your hormonal balance. But think about the food on a daily basis. You're definitely eating more than that, and it ends up into your body. So anything that you're eating is going to be affecting you, from your digestion to digestion, which is the gut process and how you're able to detoxify from the inside by taking more fiber in and go to the bathroom correctly, to excreting through your skin. There are a lot of different things that your body is doing without you even knowing about it. And by being aware of the type of food that you can bring in to support your whole body, you're able to detoxify from the inside. Not that you'll ever be able to be toxin-free, because we have a lot of toxins in our environment, and in everything that we are doing every day, we're bringing more toxins in. But being aware of what you can do to reduce that exposure to toxins is going to be a huge difference. That starts with nutrition.
And this is how you started. You started looking at your own nutrition, what you were putting into the body, and what came next, and what changes did you experience when you started going through that process?
So for me, without getting into too many details, but like the big changes was becoming dairy free, reducing the amount of red meat that I was eating, because those are very two big categories of food that will be prompting your body to produce more estrogen. I reduced and completely then eliminated gluten, because gluten for me creates a lot of inflammation in my body and a lot of pain. And just by reducing already these three categories and even eliminating them from my body, I came down to being in pain every single day, to being in pain just around my cycle, 2-3 days. So that's a huge shift. And then after the nutrition piece, I looked into what it is that I needed to bring in more. So I needed to bring in more good fats, because good fats will be anti-inflammatory. And by good fats, I mean omega-3 and omega-6. Because we tend to bring in more of the saturated kind of fats, which are really bad for you. And then that led me to look further into emotions stored in the body. So I looked into my emotions using emotional freedom technique. Initially, I was very skeptical. I thought, how can you be using acupressure on your body and talking to yourself and be able to express emotions out of your body? So for those of you who don't know what emotional freedom technique is, there are different points on your bodies, here, 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 on the side here, underneath the arm, and then the chakra point on the head, that you will be tapping on. And while you're tapping on them, you will be asking yourself questions and basically allowing yourself to feel how you're feeling, and saying to yourself, okay, even though I'm feeling such and such, I completely and deeply accept and love myself. And by doing that process, you're able to access your subconscious, and by accessing your subconscious and giving your subconscious agreement to express how you're feeling, you have tons of emotion that might be coming up from one day ago, the same day, to 2 years ago, to 10, 20, 15, 30 years ago. And by being able to express those emotions that are stored into your body and getting them to come out of your body, you get out as well that pain that might be anchored into your body through that emotion. And that led me to reducing even further to only 1 day of pain a month, just by being able to express that emotion.
That's extraordinary. And I'm glad you're mentioning that, because the connection between mind and body and energy, I think there is no separation really. It's part of the whole. So when you're addressing an issue, it's very useful, at least I find it very useful, to tips and point of view and address every single one of them. And that way you have much more power, or you're just cleaning it all out. And with the emotions, there is so much that we store from our childhood and it may not have been a big thing from an adult's perspective when we were children. For example, something may have happened, someone said something, and it just created that program or that stuckness, or we were told, oh, you're not allowed to cry, or boys don't cry, or only weak people cry. And if someone hurts you, and there's many things. I mean, this is a huge topic on its own. So it's a great way to find a way of expressing that and clearing those emotions that are stored, because they are stored, like you said, they're stored in our body, in our fascia, in our tissue, in our energetics of the body, and opening up those. I think that EFT works on the meridian points, is that correct? Or acupressure meridian, clearing those energy pathways for the body to get rid of it, and get more in the flow. So that's an incredible experience that you have had, that when you say you talk from your experience, this is what makes you also different, or gives you the extra edge, let's say, from the experience. I'm not saying they're bad coaches, not at all, but it gives you a depth that you can speak from different experience, from your own experience, to the people who are dealing with similar issues. Okay, thank you.
Sure. And that's true. That's one of the things, I noticed with my boys, because I have twin boys who are soon to be 6 months old. And you look at children and you look at people around you, and like they're crying, and maybe, mine are very happy babies, but they're crying from time to time. And then perhaps you have people around you who would be saying, oh, they're crying, you have to stop them from crying. And I just think for myself, maybe they're crying because they have to express themselves. There's something that's inside that they want to make go out, and then they feel better once they've cried. And as adults, it's one of the things that we prevent ourselves to do. There's something going wrong, we'll just get it in, we'll keep it in, and we'll just say, there's something wrong going with our partner. Instead of saying it in a nice way when we feel better, we just don't say it at all. And we wait until it explodes, or we wait and wait and wait, and it just stays in for years and years. The same at work, maybe.
And it will probably manifest somewhere in the body at some point.
Exactly.
Where the body will say, hey, help me. You haven't listened. You have to do something now, or I'm going to show you even more. I'm going to say, hey, pay attention to my shoulder, or my neck pain, or my lower back, or hormonal imbalance and pain. Yeah, so that was the next step that you did, looked at your emotions. And I suppose this is something that you do on an ongoing basis as well, not just say.
I find it more difficult sometimes to go back to doing EFT, because I don't want to face my emotions like a lot of people, I imagine. But depending on in which phase I am in my cycle, I find it's easier for me to do it. So when I'm in my premenstrual phase, for example, which would be around now, then I find it easier because in order to be preparing for the menstrual phase, which you have a lot of energy which is used inward instead of outwards, you need to be resting before and during. And by doing that, you allow your body to be changing the energy usage within yourself in order to be focusing more on your emotions and on using the energy to be detoxifying from the inside. Because technically, periods are a detoxification of your uterus in order to prepare you to be pregnant afterwards.
And we'll talk about that more in this interview, definitely. Let's go back to your own journey. So we talked about nutrition, we touched on emotional health. Anything else that you went through yourself and experienced yourself to help you further?
For me, it was a way of finding different health professionals as well that could help me. So coaching is helpful, and nutrition is helpful. Then you might want to go and see a massage therapist because they will be able to access your body in a different way. Or you will be wanting to go and see an energy specialist like yourself and Mark to be able to move the energies within your body so that you're more balanced. And I find it's really important to be experiencing with the different type of strategies you have around and find the one that are working for you and keep having them in. Because it's not something you just do once and then you stop and then you start again. In the same way that you're eating every day and that's keeping you alive, including these strategies into your daily, monthly, yearly routines are going to make sure that you stay thriving in your health and professional life every single day.
And what would you say to people who would think that they have to do something they don't really want to do? So, for example, you have to go to the gym to build muscle instead of, oh, why don't I just go dancing because I really love and enjoy dancing? What would you say about that mindset of change and creating change and maintaining change and our own resistances? What's your experience of that with your clients and what you tell them? And your own experience?
Personally, I hate the I have to, I must. For me, it's a question of how about we find something you're happy to do every day because then you're more likely to be keeping on doing it. If you do not enjoy going to the gym and being stuck there, go dancing, dance home, dance with other people in a classroom, or go outside in nature and dance with the trees, or do something that you enjoy doing and that you'll be happy to do because the more you will be doing it and the more you want to do it, maybe at a point in time you'll want to reassess and say, okay, maybe I'm thinking I want to go to the gym once a week. Or maybe you want to find someone you actually connect with who will not going to be giving you to do something that you don't enjoy, but who's going to be understanding you and adapting the routine of the exercise that they give to you so that it fits you. Like I do with my clients, I will not have the same recommendations to everyone. Because every one of my clients has a different lifestyle. They have different wishes. They have different things they resonate with. So I will give them 3, 4, 5 different tools. They're going to tell me, okay, that one I love. I want to do. That one I don't like. I'm never going to do it. And it's fine. But find the thing that lights you up from the inside and commit to doing that for at least 28 days and then start again.
Fantastic. And something that I touched on recently as well is motivation. Our own motivation is when you really, really want something, it comes from the inside and you don't necessarily need too many external motivational factors. But sometimes the question is, what are the things that can get in the way of us succeeding and changing our lifestyle for those who are suffering and who want to have a better lifestyle and wellness? What are the things that can get in the way from a practical standpoint?
I think from a practical standpoint, a lot of the things I hear is, I don't have the money. Okay, I mean, initially I thought the same thing, and then I thought, okay, how much is it costing me to go to the doctor every month? How much is it costing me to have surgery every year or every 2 years? Or if you want to get pregnant, how much is it costing you not to be pregnant now and waiting 1, 2, 3 more years? You also have okay, what are the fears that you have? It's not just the cost. Usually the cost is like, it's something that comes up to your mind because it's the easiest thing to say, oh, I can't afford it. There's always a way to make things work. Even if you do your own research, there's always a way to make the changes you want to get to the results you want. Sometimes you just like the status quo. You're in pain and people are taking care of you, and you think, when I'm not in pain anymore, people will not be taking care of me. Exactly. Or you just think, oh, but if I change something, then maybe something else will happen that will be bad. I don't have particular examples in mind right now, but these are the things that come to our mind because we're just thinking, oh, the status quo is not too bad. Maybe going back to a place where I have to do more efforts. Maybe what I'm doing is actually going to make it worse, or I don't know how to do it. Or I don't know when to start. And that's when we look into the female cycle to say, when you're menstruating, it's not a good time to be starting anything. It's a good time to be resting. But when you're post-menstruation and your energy starts to rise again, that would be a great time to start any type of exercise or nutrition changes that you want to implement. Because your energy rises, your motivation rises from the inside. And so these are the things that I find usually with my client, that they're focusing on small little fears and hurdles that they think they will have instead of thinking of the benefits of doing it.
And it always comes in with a lesson, doesn't it? And to help someone who, for example, think, oh, I don't know how to get the support. I mean, you also have a Facebook group that you run, that you offer that supportive environment for people not to feel alone, and they can ask questions, they can reach out to you. You have lots and lots of resources as well on your website. I read your blog posts and your newsletters that are coming in. So there is a lot of support, and there is a lot of support and solution that you offer. And what I love about you is that you do work very individually with people, and you focus on, okay, what's going to work for you? What's going to work for your lifestyle? Are you a stay-at-home mom, or are you working 9 to 8 in the evening? I mean, also looking at is this actually a sustainable way of living in the long run? But you are able to fit that lifestyle with your advice and your recommendation, which is what I like very much.
I feel the only way to really make change is when you're not the one changing, but the solutions around you are adapting to you. Because otherwise you go to people who tell you have to completely overhaul your life and do what I tell you. Maybe it works. I'm not saying it doesn't, but how likely are you going to be getting up at 5:30 in the morning when you're exhausted and going for 30 minutes run, followed by an hour or 30 minutes of strength training, followed by breakfast, followed by taking care of your children or your family, spending time with your partner before going to work. And in order to be able to eat healthily, you prepare your food at the same time to bring it to the office, which means that perhaps you don't have lunch with your colleagues when you want to. And then in the evening, you leave again, maybe earlier, and then you're just stressed out because you couldn't do everything you wanted to do at work or for your life. And I find it's much easier when you can just look at things one at a time and make a small change here, a small change there that you know is going to fit on your lifestyle. And then you can just start to change slowly things. And within a year, you're going to have made big strides into the right direction. You're going to feel much better, but you're not going to feel like you did a lot of work to change and to go to where you are.
Totally. Yeah, I love that. Let's talk about the cycle, the women's cycle a little bit more. You mentioned that in certain parts of our cycle, we may want to do different things in order to thrive and to be in balance. Yeah? And I suppose that's something that we naturally feel. as women. I mean, for myself, there are parts before my period when I feel very emotional, that I am more expressive as well, and my poor hubby knows that. Oh, he's not poor; he's quite okay, you know. And then there is a part after my period when I get really focused, and I'm able to achieve much more than before my period, when I just want to rest and I don't really feel like I'm motivated enough, let's say, to do things. What would you tell us a little bit more about that, the whole concept of the women's cycle, and perhaps why haven't we learned, why no one teaches us that when we are young, when we get to the age when we start a period and we're becoming women? Why is it that I didn't know that? Why is it not a common knowledge? Although it's something really quite intuitive in a way.
Mm-hmm. I think it's probably a lot of women have had the same experience that I've had, and probably that was the same for you when you start menstruating and it's a subject that is taboo, and you see blood for the first time and you go to your mom and you say, "Mom, I'm bleeding." And maybe you just handed up a tampon or a serviette, and it's just like, okay, it's normal. That's fine. I have pain. Yeah, it's fine. It's normal. Let's not talk about it. You're just going to have it every month, and that's fine. And then you learn the biological side of it. You know that women will be menstruating, and as you start to have your periods, you become a woman in the full sense of the term. And you don't learn that your hormones are going to be changing throughout your cycle. That as your progesterone, your estrogen are going to be rising and decreasing in your body, then so will your energy and so will your anxiety rise too. When estrogen goes up, you're going to have a lot of energy. When progesterone goes down, you're going to be more anxious, which explains when you have PMS during your periods or even afterwards, when progesterone is not rising as much, when you're going to be feeling anxious and perhaps paranoid, like it happens a lot with women suffering from too much estrogen and lower progesterone, like endometriosis. And these are things that no one talks about, because who would go to a friend or a doctor saying, "I'm paranoid, I'm feeling extremely anxious, I just want to scream at everyone"? They would just look at you and say, "You're crazy, you need to be going to a psychiatrist." But you don't. Yes. It's hormonal, it's normal, but no one talks about it. And it becomes taboo because we don't talk about it.
But you do.
The more we talk about it, the less taboo it becomes. And the more we can know that we are normal. There's nothing wrong with us. Mm-hmm. And it's fine. You know, we have a different cycle than men have, which still needs to be determined what type of cyclicity they have. But we're fine in every sense of the term as we go from being menstrual and having very little energy to being the luteal phase and having our estrogen rise and having more energy and feeling more ready to tackle anything into our life, to being then more empathic around ovulation, to going back again into our creative phase and feeling ready to declutter before we get again into our premenstrual phase and before we start again. So these are different things. When you start to look for yourself, how are you feeling into each of the different phases of your cycle? When you're menstruating, the phase between the end of your menstruation and your ovulation, around your ovulation, and finally, once you finished ovulating until you menstruate again, when you start to be writing down how are you feeling, what do you feel like doing, what fits you best, this is when you're going to be making the most out of your cycle. Mm-hmm. And this is when you're going to be able to push yourself easily to do things you want to do, because you're going with your nature instead of against your nature. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that you can skip work when you're menstruating? Well, that'd be great if you could, but I don't think that's possible in many companies, even if we had a few companies accept the menstruating, that women menstruating could have a different treatment at work. But perhaps, you're menstruating and, you're very low on energy, so you go to bed earlier in the evening. You schedule as little meetings as you can in the office. You go for a nap instead of going for lunch, and then you can eat something at your desk later on, or having snacks which are going to be helping you promote energy during the day. Maybe listen to soothing music. Avoid coffee. There are different strategies that once you know in which phase you are, that you can adapt to your daily life, so that you don't feel you're missing out, but at the same time you're not bringing into the next phases and your whole cycle the type of negative energy that you bring when you're pushing through your limits and pushing against yourself.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about the strategies that we can incorporate into our lives throughout that cycle. And you'd also talked about me before the interview, something that you're thinking about doing is helping entrepreneurs, women who are entrepreneurs, with balancing their own business with their cycle. So it all goes with the flow and they can plan around it rather than, like you said, rather than trying to, okay, today, this week, these are my goals, chick, 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 and I have to complete them, and I'm going to beat myself up for it if I don't, or I'm just going to stay till 2 o'clock in the morning. What is your approach?
So my approach is, I know when I will be menstruating, I know when I'm ovulating and everything else, and I know that there are some goals that I want to achieve. But what I do is usually when I would be in a phase where I'm highly dynamic, I would still have my 3 daily goals. When I'm in a phase where I need more rest, I would allow myself to be sleeping until 10:30, like this morning. I'm premenstrual. I know I need the rest before. I told myself that's okay. 10:30 this morning, got up, and then I started to prepare breakfast, have something light, and then started working. And I allow myself to have only maybe 1 or 2 goals a day that I want to do. Still feeling with how I'm feeling right now. And because this is a phase where I'm going to be more able to structure what it is that I want to achieve within the next month, this is a time where I would just take a pad and I'd be writing down, a structure of the thing that I want to achieve within the next week, not taking this week into consideration because this week is for thinking and preparation and structuring what it is that I want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. And that, I like that as well because it's much more intuitive, like you said, and much more driven by the feeling and driven by the cycle, as you said, rather than being very strict with yourself and very critical of yourself, which some of us are very critical and want to achieve everything and want to be perfect and want to be everything for everyone. And there's another thing that you talked about to me as well before this interview, that the aspect of being everything for everyone rather than choosing what you want to be and rather than focusing primarily on yourself. Was this the case with you when you went through your own experience? Did you have to reevaluate your life and reevaluate your relationships and your boundaries with others? And I mean, relationships are also a huge aspect, right, of our well-being. What was your insight into that area?
So for me, when I started, it's a bit like emotion. As you express your emotions, you start to become more aware of the people who are around you, the ones who are supporting you no matter what, and the ones who are extremely negative. And when you know that you can't do anything to make them change their mind and to get them to be more supportive, it comes to a point where you just think, okay, is this someone who I'm still bringing something to their life and it's okay to keep their relationship, or I'm not bringing anything to their life and they're not bringing anything to my life and bringing me down, in which case it's probably better that we both let go. And if that person doesn't, then maybe it's up to you to do it. And it will benefit the both of you, because if that person is negative when he or she is meeting with you or discussing anything with you, then that brings both of you down. And as you reevaluate your goals, your relationships, you will decide that there are things you want to be focusing on that are important to you, whether that's for your personal life or your professional life. And when you know what these are, it's easier for you to be focusing on this rather than focusing on everything. Let's say you're focusing on wanting to have a business that is successful while still taking care of your health. You know that you can't be working from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock in the evening for a long time, because you're going to be burning out. And as you burn out, your business also will not be successful. That will bring you down financially with your health. And in the long run, you're not going to be able to help anyone. So once you know that, you can start to create for yourself and say, all right, based on my health, I know that maximum I can be working 6-7 hours a day. Maybe not every day of the week, but from time to time I can take a break when I need it, which is around my menstruation. Maybe I know other people who would be interested into collaborating and doing partnerships. There are a lot of different tools that we have around us when we look into what it is we want to create versus what it is that we are afraid is going to happen. And when we look at this, we're going to be able to shift our perspective and to make things happen for real.
Fantastic. Make them happen for real and maintain them. And whilst we're talking about maintaining the changes that we make, what are your secrets? Do you have any secret tips? And what are they if you do? How do you do it? How do you balance your business? You are now a mom as well. And yeah, how do you balance your family, your business? What would you say, what would you give to others?
For me, I have to say I'm very lucky, and I'm very thankful to my family and my husband's family, because they're taking care of the boys a couple of days a week, which means that I can sleep longer, like this morning, because they keep them overnight. So finding a great support team around you to help you out is what's going to make the most difference, because that allows you for 1 day, 2 days, or even just a few hours when a friend or a family member or a daycare center is taking care of your children. If you have children, or if you don't, then just spending time just for yourself, specific time a week, a specific time a day, is going to make a huge difference. Self-care first. And when you feel happy and when you feel good into your body, it's easier for you to be achieving everything else around it. So pre-preparing food as well is one of the things I do. I have in my freezer some bags with frozen banana, spinach, and a few other foods that are prepared already for me to be preparing my smoothies, so that I don't have to be taking too much time preparing my smoothie every day. I do have some particular type of water that I drink every day. So I put my water, some lemon juice in it, and some Himalayan salt, because Himalayan salt is full of minerals that are going to be supporting your adrenal glands. So for energy, and for women who are most likely to be suffering from burnout and adrenal exhaustion, that's going to be supporting your health. And then meditating from time to time, or listening to music, putting music on, closing my eyes, enjoying a bit of quiet time and time just for myself, cuddling with the cats, speaking with friends. And these are things that I mix in my week with my work as well, so that every single day I have something to be looking forward to. I love my work, but sometimes you also need to distract yourself from what you're doing in order to be bringing back to your attention afterwards and be more focused and enjoy it even more.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Going back to your actually business and your offering, what people can find on your website. I mean, I have it open here. You have different things that you offer. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I have some online courses that are available on my Lotus Power Health Academia, and the link is directly in the menu of my website. I have a current offer on one of the courses that I put together after a lot of feedback from women over the last 2 years, which is called Wellness Wisdom for Women. I'm currently offering it at a lower price, including 2 sessions with me. And then I also offer one-on-one coaching for women who want to get rid of their endometriosis pain or who want to be improving their chances of getting pregnant. I'm currently working on a fertility course to bring you in sync with your cycle while in optimizing your chances of getting pregnant. And that's also something I'll be announcing soon in the newsletter. So yeah, I'd say check out the website. I keep on adding more things, and as I listen to my audience, and also, every woman who comes to me, I want to have a chat with them before deciding if we're the right fit to work together. So I can decide, and she can decide what type of program would suit her best. If that's one-on-one, if that's group coaching, if one of the courses that I have available is probably better for her at that point in time. How long we are going to meet, and so on and so forth. So yeah, check the website, and if you're curious about how we might work together, go onto the contact page and schedule a 20 minutes complimentary session with me.
Perfect. And is there any age restriction for the women who get in touch with you, or could there be women who are a little bit older, who have are in menopause or premenopausal, or you specifically working only with women who want to get better and who want to get pregnant?
I most specifically work with women who are still menstruating and are having pain or want to get pregnant. And if you are in any of the other categories and you don't know who to contact, send me a message and I'll point you out to one of my colleagues.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks.
That was absolutely amazing and lovely, and such a great pleasure to speak to you. I am so excited, and I'm so grateful to be able to share this with everyone and anyone who's watching, and we will share it wide into the world. And if people want to get in touch with you in terms of the Facebook group, can they join? Do they have to be a client to join the Facebook group, or can anyone join?
Any women who want to be part of the group can send a request and I'll be approving it.
Perfect. And what's the group called?
It's called Radical Wellness with Audrey S. Arnold, I think. But if you want to join, the easiest is just to join the newsletter, and then there's a link in each newsletter to join the group.
Great. Awesome. Thank you once again. I will also post in the comment or above in the description a link to your website, so those who this message resonates can get in touch with you. And I would love to also see you another time and perhaps speak about the specific strategies a bit more in depth, how we can work for someone like myself even. And I know many other women who are entrepreneurs, who are either working for themselves or who are freelancing. So I feel this would be of great value to all of them to hear more about that. Would you be up for it?
Oh yeah, I'd be definitely up for it. That's a message and topic that I'm really thrilled about. So I love to share it.
Amazing. Thank you. And thanks everyone who's watching or who will be watching in the future. And yeah, see you soon again with Veronika and Audrey. And I'll be doing also other interviews, which will be coming up on some other very interesting topics. So stay tuned and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.